July 21st, 2014.
The Berman-era Star Trek shows are known for being able to use all those filler time episodes, the kind that a 26-episode season produces, to dig into aspects of the characters' backstories and to delve deeply into personal elements that change the character forever. And with the Next Generation, those stories got better as the seasons went on and on. But then there are episodes like the one we're talking about where we find out what happens if a character inherits her grandmother's sex ghost candle and starts boning the sex candle ghost. So yeah, today we're asking the question, what the Star Trek? As we talk about the Season 7 head-scratcher known as Sub Rosa. This is Treknicity. Loud. Welcome to Treknicity, a Star Trek podcast where we do the deep dive, and I hate saying that, on all things Star Trek because we're going to do this episode. I'm your host, Patrick Murray. With me are Mike Raper and Lars DeSenza.
Yellow.
Go ahead and go. You know what? Go ahead and just stop listening now. Really.
Oh no, you should stop listening because this is going to be fun. Because in this episode, we're going to rip into the Star Trek Next Generation episode entitled Sub Rosa and regret our life choices as we try to figure out just what the writers were thinking when they came up with this.
You know, one thing I'm trying to figure out and it only just popped up now. I would say I'm today years old when I started wondering what Sub Rosa actually means. I should Google it. Just, but I figured probably, knowing what it really means or what it refers to, I just don't think I really want to know. It reminds me of a conversation I had in a Discord channel the other day where somebody was talking about going to a particular cafe that they were looking forward to going to, and they do these kind of, I won't say exotic, but kind of more regional type of breakfast items, and one of them was a lavender. It's supposed to be like a lavender blue waffle, and it's a waffle made with blue corn. And I thought to myself, I said, I was like, do I say it? Do I warn them? Don't eat the blue waffles. I was like, I kept to myself. I was like, I just put hashtag do not Google blue waffle. Just left it right there. Cause I was like, oh man. All right. Okay. Here we go.
So much wrong with
that. Okay, so let's get into this episode. I'll give us a little summary, and then we can, interrupt me if you really want me to. Okay, so we start the episode with Beverly Crusher. She's burying her grandmother that we've never heard of or anything about in a suspiciously Scottish-looking location. At the burial, she spots the sex candle ghost. His name is Ronan, but I'm just going to call him the sex candle ghost because I like saying sex candle ghost and sex ghost candle. Yeah, that. So we do find out because Picard asks some questions, and find out this is the Scottish colony from Scotland because they wanted to use Scottishness for some damned reason. Yeah, they brought stones from Scotland and made a colony on a planet somewhere else into Scotland.
Oh,
so they could use the Scottish that, I guess.
Look, I lived in New Zealand, and there's an entire city that was colonized by immigrants coming from Scotland, and the city's called Dunedin. So I know they just they're like, screw it, we're just gonna go wherever we want, and they did the same thing. They took stones and whatnot from Scotland and down to New Zealand and they built castles and all that stuff. So yeah, it's their thing.
So Beverly, you go ahead.
The comparison ends there. Let's just go ahead and get that clear.
Yeah. So Beverly goes and spends some time at her granny's house and meets the Scottish guy who knows claims of a curse in the worst possible way because he just breaks in and blows out the candle. Of course, she doesn't listen to him when he says it's cursed and everything's bad and yada yada. But she does find her granny's journals and finds out her granny was a gilf and enjoyed being and was getting plowed by some youngin or something. And she shares this Picard. Picard almost face palms. Spoiler: we're talking about the sex candle ghost here. So after falling on so she gets back to the ship, and after falling asleep reading her grandmother's erotica, the sex candle ghost kind of strokes her, and yeah. Okay, next day she shares this with Troy, who doesn't immediately scream, "Run away!" when she mentions that she felt a presence. Because if you remember back in season 2, Dee got knocked up by a presence.
Oh, she got some presents, all right.
Yeah, presents all over. We're not.
Never mind.
I'm not finishing that. So Bev goes back to the graveyard, meets the Scottish guy who blames the weather and literally everything on the sex candle and the sex candle ghost. Then, of course, we get spooky green lightning flashing as she runs back to her granny's house, ends up all wet by the time she gets there, and finds it's been filled with budget-busting level of flowers.
Yeah.
So after some spooky stuff where Sex Candle just does spooky ghost stuff, he makes her come on command. I am not exaggerating.
It's true.
Wow.
I'm not exaggerating this. He gives his backstory as poor Gates McFadden does her best with what she's given, which is apparently a ghost invisibly diddling her while spouting his backstory. Next day, Troy shows up and doesn't say WTF, Bev, even with all the WTF stuff she says. She instead goes the psychology explanation because, of course, Beverly didn't mention the whole sex candle ghost part of this. I'm say, oh, you both lost somebody and must be a connection because of that, but it's not necessarily real. And yeah, and you didn't mention it was a sex candle ghost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, forgive me for saying it, and I know it kind of pushes the boundaries on the levels of decency and whatnot, but
Hey, we're doing Sub Rosa.
I'm just thinking that if you said to me that Beverly Crusher got raw dogged by a candle, I would
Oh no, it gets better. See, for those of you listening who haven't seen this episode, we have to tell you these things or you won't believe what actually happens. We have to actually tell you this stuff. It's not even getting raw dogged by a candle. It's Beverly Crusher reading Granny's dirty journals, Granny's letters to Penthouse, and then laying in bed, taking a trip to Palmdale on camera. Welcome to Star Trek, everybody.
Gene would be proud.
I know, man.
At some point, this is the thing. At some point, somebody actually sat and wrote this. Somebody wrote a script, and somewhere in that script it says Gates diddles herself while reading Granny's dirty journals.
No, the ghost was doing the diddly part.
Anyway. Still, but again, when you said as he reading her letters to Penthouse, it reminds me of a song from. Are you guys familiar with Bob and Tom?
Vaguely.
Okay, well, they're a national, national, I guess, variety show.
They're less hilarious than this episode, though.
True. But they had a skit, and I still remember it's called Dear Penthouse, and they talk about all these different stories and stuff, and sings about these different stories that would get submitted to Penthouse. And, but then in itself, when you're talking about this, and you started mentioning her reading her grandma's dirty journals and her letters to Penthouse, all I could think of is this voice singing it in a thick Scottish brogue. Oh, dear Penthouse. But what gets me? Okay, go ahead and finish your summary and stuff because I feel like I'm going to be all over this thing.
You mean like the ghost did all over Beverly?
Well, look at the picture. Look at the picture on the screen. I mean,
what I keep thinking when I see this is the line from Ghostbusters. He slimed me.
Okay, over in the B plot, the sex scandal ghost kills the Scottish guy because he was doing something to stop the sex scandal ghost from getting back to the sex ghost scandal and getting to do another Howard woman. Luckily, Dr. Crusher gets to do something other than ride Ghost Bone as she checks in on the body of dead Scottish guy. She, of course, then immediately sends it up to the ship so she can go back and talk to the sex candle ghost about the accident. While apparently having sexy time with Sex Candle Ghost as she tries to question about about killing the guy. And yeah. So at the candle ghost urging, she runs up to the ship to light the sex ghost candle so she can get the sex candle ghost to come up to the ship and anaphasically pork her. More sympathy for Gates here. Oh.
So you heard it here for the first time in recorded history. Anaphasically porked.
So immediately after that, we cut to her in the transporter. Apparently, she's going to leave and go to the Scottish planet to be a healer. Picard almost scratches his bald head on this. It's like another WTF. So Troy and Picard finally start discussing this, wondering exactly who Beverly is screwing, and Picard goes off to meet who you'll find out is the sex scandal ghost.
Wait a minute, what?
Beverly, back at her grandmother's home in the Scottish colony, is stroking off the sex ghost candle as the sex candle ghost shoves his anaphasic something in her. I'm gonna try not to go. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Picard, of course, shows up to cockblock the sex candle ghost because he wants to meet him. They talk about her eyes, and Gates McFadden does the best with whatever the hell she was given. Before sex candle ghost shows up, he gets interrupted by Geordi and Data wanting to dig up Beverly's granny. Picard starts questioning Sex Candle Ghost until he decides to go anaphasic and zaps Picard. Finally, Bev does something other than get it on with Sex Candle Ghost as she tries to save Picard. Over in the graveyard, Data and Geordi pull up Granny's body beamed out, only have Granny pop up and zap them with anaphasic energy and right out of the plot. Finally, after at least 37 on-screen orgasms, Beverly figures out that maybe the sex scandal ghost is not a sex scandal ghost by spouting technobabble for the audience.
Yeah.
Then she faces the sex ghost candle, and then the sex scandal ghost. Then Gates McFadden again does the best she can with the crap she was given. Post-Picard log that says Beverly will have a hard recovery. We cut to a wistful convo about boys with Deanna. Bechtel test failed. The end. Also, the B plots, Data and LaForge doing some work on the extra Scottish weather system. It messed with the ship. Of course, it's anaphasic sex candle ghost all along. It's just enough technobabble to give the cast something to do with window dressing while we're dealing with the sex ghost candle and sex candle ghost plot.
It's just enough technobabble to find a way to get sex candle ghost on the ship. That's the only point of the B plot is to do that. None of the rest of it actually matters.
So the final thought I wrote here is, why couldn't we be talking about the following episode? Because the following episode is Lower Decks.
Of course.
Yeah. So where do we start?
Well, first of all, before I do that, I feel obligated to do this, guys. If you have any questions or any complaints, make sure you let us know over here, because
And if you think we're being too crude, watch the damned episode, and then come back and say, "We're sorry we mocked you for making sex ghost candle jokes for the entire episode, because this was a joke."
This was really bad.
I feel obligated now to find a way to fit the phrase anamorphic or anaphasically porked into my lexicon now. I'm going to go to work and I'm like, well, what's wrong with it? Well, this thing is anaphasically porked.
No, you know what? We need to put a T-shirt with that on our Etsy store.
Oh, yeah, we do. Yep. That's, by the way, is at shop.redshirtgeeks.com.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, I'm looking at this. This was written by Jerry Taylor. Teleplay was by Brandon Braga, and Frakes directed this shit.
I know. I was like, when I saw that I remembered that he directed this episode, I started to wonder, was it him? Was it him that actually was like, come on, man, let's do this. Gates, come here. I got this guy. You know, they came with me with this idea about you getting it on with a sex ghost candle.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. I think, you can have a good director, you can have good actors, you can have good budget. When you get a story that is this ridiculous, there's no saving it. Orson Welles could not have done any better directing this horrible piece of shit. It doesn't even to me, it doesn't even follow the typical structure of an episode, right? Usually there's kind of 5 chunks. I mean, we'll call them 5 acts, but between 5 commercial breaks, and each chunk is kind of distinct and helps advance the story.
Should we call them splooges instead of chunks?
This is chunks. I'm sorry.
Because it blows chunks.
Exactly. This one is just kind of all over the place.
Instead of it coming at you hard.
Well, it's 80% A plot, 20% B plot, and it's a chance for it's Star Trek. Every time, every series, there's always a time when individual characters get their big episode, right? I would be embarrassed if I was Gates McFadden and said, this is supposed to be my big episode. This is the Crusher episode. I'm getting diddled by a candle and I have to make an O face on camera. I mean, look at the screen.
Gates McFadden did the best with what she could.
Yeah, which is still nothing you can do there. This was so bizarre. It's almost like somebody wrote it as a joke and then they didn't realize it was a joke.
Yeah. I have to believe that they started out with the idea of this being a really intense episode, and then it just got more farcical the farther they went into it. And yeah, they had, at that point, they still had to fill 26 episodes, and it was season 7.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part, is this was season 7. This wasn't like season 2, season 3, where they're still trying to figure things out, and every subplot that involves one of the female leads has to be something about sex.
Oh,
I mean, how many times did Deanna Troi get violated? And the scary part is Crusher actually did finally get some good episodes. There's ones where she commanded when she had to command the Enterprise for a bit. I mean, she's had some good episodes, and then this
was not one of them.
Yeah.
I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but you mentioned earlier that that the grandmother was had never been mentioned before. However, I think there was a reference to it in the episode, the first season episode, Arsenal of Freedom. Because
you're right. They did. I do remember that. I'll stand corrected there. That was season 1, though. I don't think they kept track of anything from season 1.
No.
Except Wesley Crusher, that they kept throwing into the plot all the time. Who finally got good after season 3.
Yeah.
Once they got him,
I look at this and I think there's actually a pretty good story buried in this. Probably. If they had slimmed it down and said, okay, yeah, you do have the anaphasic life form that everybody up till now has thought was a spirit or a ghost, and it is somehow friendly or benign to the women in this family. It's friends with them. It does something to help them in some way. Maybe it keeps them healthy. Maybe I don't know.
But not orgasms.
Yeah, exactly. Let's throw the whole sex thing in. It's just like, that's where it went off the rails.
For me, what really sticks out is the fact that, the almost old world thinking that still goes along with this. Like the old fella thinking, it's cursed, don't use it, it's cursed. I'm like, it is like the 24th century. Okay. Y'all have had 300 extra years from where we are to figure these things out, I guess expand our horizons intellectually,
seek out new lives and new life forms and new civilizations,
and get raw dogged by them. I don't know. It's like, but still,
what is this, a Kirk episode?
Yeah, like holy cow! Like, I mean, come on, this is like, they're that I guess, backwards that they still think that.
I mean, I'd hate to see what Riker would do with the sex.
Well, I got to figure. So I would say this in defense of that part. When we watch this show, we always see it from the perspective of the characters on the show who are all Starfleet. They're the best and the brightest. You have to figure there are still
stupid
people, you know, and I would even argue, we'd have to talk about this, might make a good episode, that a lot of the people are even dumber than ever because they don't have to work very hard to get the things they want. You know, they just go, my house is provided, my energy is provided, I have a replicator and a food thing that makes everything that I need. I can just sit at home and play video games. You know, so I can live with the part with the curse thing. I really can. I'm cool with that. It's just the whole horny ghost. I don't get that. What does he get from it?
You know,
well, they explained that in the end is basically he used life forms to survive because anaphasic thing.
Right.
That was the explanation. And then he'd sit in the candle when he wasn't doing
the plasma-based candle. But okay, but that's fine. He has to have them. That's the trade-off. He lives with off of them in some way. Again, there was no other way he could do it without it being sex.
I just want I want to
again a kernel of a good idea.
I want to refer to Ronan going forward as Casper the Horny Ghost.
Don't take my sex candle ghost away from me.
Still,
because when I was writing the summary, that was the thing is I wanted to see how many times I could get sex candle ghost and sex ghost candle into the thing. We're just gonna go for it.
That was another part of the episode that kind of didn't land well for me. Is that I thought the way that that it was going to go was that he was somehow affecting her mind in some way, and that's why she wanted to stay with him. It's like, no, not at all. Apparently, he's just really rocking in bed, and she's decided she wants to stay with this sex ghost. I was like, this just really makes her character look so bad.
Well, the thing is, okay, I can think of at least 3.
Can we take the Sub Rosa slide off? Because I'm. Let's just get it off the screen. Put us on because because that's what I see every time. Okay, there we go.
Okay, how about so I can think of at least three episodes where Dr. Crusher basically tries to get it on, or does get it on. Well, at least once tries, twice does. Okay, first time she tries is the episode The Naked Now, because she tries to get it on with Picard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second time.
And doesn't, though. That's the thing.
Right.
Unlike Data and Tasha Yar.
Because we all know that Data is
fully functional, programmed in multiple techniques.
That's right, man. That dude is loaded with WD-40.
The WD-40 is coming, baby. Wait, what?
If it moves and it's not supposed to, there's duct tape. If it doesn't move and it's supposed to, there's Data. Anyways, so there's The Naked Now where she's affected by the virus and tries to get it on with Picard. Fine. Okay. The second time, I don't remember the episode off the top of my head, but it is the one where she gets it on with the first time we see a Trill.
That one.
Mm-hmm.
Where of course the Star Trek failed the queer community in the end.
Yep. And then of course there's Sub Rosa. So I mean there is a precedent for Dr. Crusher basically being a horn dog, which hey, whatever, man, whatever flips your dinger, I'm not going to judge, but
still better than what happens to Deanna Troi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But
I can imagine we'll have a few WTF episodes that involve Deanna Troi getting violated by somebody or something.
Given that fact, I think if I were Deanna Troi, I would give up. I would just stop. I would just leave, because it seems like anybody who has any level of telepathic ability can mess with her. I mean, hell, we even saw it in Star Trek Nemesis, where, the the Riemann Viceroy even gets into her head. I'm like, dude, you just suck, man. Like you need to put some more effort into putting up some mental blocks or something. You need to go
go to Vulcan.
Yeah, go make friends with a Vulcan or something because you
bitch get thee to Vulcan.
Practice occlumency. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong franchise. Oh yeah, but to your point, I mean, I could see, it's fine that the character, she's got the hot pants. Fine, no problem. You're going to give your career up for a sex candle ghost? Go to the holodeck.
Apparently.
Go to the holodeck. Get wild. Do whatever you want to do, but don't. It's just such a weird thing for her to just decide to do that, and it wasn't some sort of mind control.
Mike, you're missing the whole point. Okay, the thing is, everybody knows that plasma-based pleasure is way better than photon-based pleasure.
Okay, I did not know that. I consider it cool.
You are today years old when you found out that
I found that out. Yes.
Pleasure is better than photon.
Anaphasic porking.
Although it looks like he photoned her torpedoes a little bit, but oh well.
Fired the Fruiton torpedoes.
Oh
my god.
Okay, have we milked this?
Well, I mean, I would say we could do
anything without this being perverted.
I would say we could do our good, bad, and ugly, but there's nothing good about this. There really isn't. I mean, usually you find something that says a bad episode. There's one or two good things about it. There wasn't anything good in this. It was just bad from beginning to end.
Special effects weren't terrible. The acting was as good as could possibly be done from that. Yeah, I mean, they tried. They literally tried, but it's not their best with what they've been given. Worst moment, because that's season 1 stuff. But this one belongs in maybe season 2. Oh, and no, because then it's Pulaski with the sex ghost candle and sex candle ghost.
That's even worse.
Oh my god, she wouldn't even do it with the ghost. She would sit there and lecture it. She'd probably call it by the wrong name, and when it corrected her, she'd get all butthurt. That's exactly what happens with Data. When she comes aboard and I guess he's dealing with the was he dealing with what was his name? Kohlrami? Kohlrami.
Oh yeah.
Kohlrami, the stratagema douche.
Yeah. The Zach Dorn strategy, and she calls him Data. He's like, it's Data, and she's like, what's the difference? He's like, one my name, one's and she's like, oh my gosh. He pulls out does this, gets out the tracker. Oh my god, an android with feelings who got his feelings hurt. I'm like, bitch, he's just correcting you. It's like that would be with the same thing. Oh, I see. We've got a sex ghost candle. It's a sex ghost candle. Oh my god, you're so easily offended. And he'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna woo you. I'm sorry. I'll stop now.
Yeah. Okay. Have we finished with this?
Yes. Yes, I think we've
Okay. Done. Okay, then let's get out of here. Now that we've asked the question, WTF, let us know what you think. Did we get it right? Or no, there's no more. Never mind. Just let us know we got it right. There is nothing more discussed on this.
And I want to say, we'll throw out an invitation. If there's anybody out there that actually likes this episode, truly likes it, please tell us.
We'll
have you on
the
show.
Watch. Yeah, it was great as a shit watch. I had so much fun watching this. But no, that thinks this is a good episode and wants to defend it. Go for it.
Please tell us.
I want to say that this is the perfect episode for all you completionists out there.
Oh. At least it's not Code of Honor.
That's a stretch.
No, that's coming later.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that one.
And there'll be no coming there. Unlike in this episode, thank you for joining us here on Treknicity, where we do something on all things Star Trek that I'm not describing because we talked about Sub Rosa. I'm your host, Patrick Murray, and with me are my co-hosts, Lars DeSenza, Mike Raper. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Treknicity.com, as well as visiting all of our socials listed here. Find us on your favorite podcast servers such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and maybe TikTok if it survives.
Yeah, it's back again, apparently. It was gone for
Yeah.
a few hours.
But who knows? Between the time we record this and when it plays, who knows? If you have any ideas on future episode subjects, please feel free to email us at show@treknicity.com or DM us on the socials or hit us up on the Discord server if you're there. And as always, rock out with your Spock out. I hate this episode. Get us out of here.